Geek Out! After seeing his mother decapitated, Jason Voorhees becomes a hermit living off the land in the area around Crystal Lake. Years later, his legend lives on to ward off trespassers until a group of teens on the hunt for a marijuana crop stumble onto Jason's land and are quickly killed off. 5 weeks later, Clay, one of the group's brothers, comes along looking for his missing sister. Will he find her and survive Jason's wrath? Well, this is it, guys. This is the final, for now.
We've said that every episode I've been on, man.
But
I've
this
been lied to.
Definitively, until maybe 2020, the final chapter in the Friday the 13th movie franchise. Of course, we are talking about the 2009 remake Friday the 13th. And with me, I have an all-star cast of 2 guests. 2 voices that you've heard before. One you've heard several times, and who has already made his presence known. I have my good friend Jake Bezek.
Hello.
And to my right, your left, I have the lovely Sam Stone.
Hey, how's it going?
Who was here for
New
Beginnings, the best one.
It's not the worst.
No, it is not. In fact, I feel like by the end of this episode, I should declare which ones are definitively, now that I've watched them in quote-unquote rapid succession, which ones are definitively my favorite and least favorite. And I feel like just overall, which of the kills, which I haven't gone back and looked at any of the old kills, so maybe not a good idea. But let's talk about it. So yeah, February 13th, 2009, almost 6.5 years after the wonderful Freddy vs. Jason was released, this movie comes along. Just to go over some of the stats real quick, it was 97 minutes long, which is the same runtime as Freddy vs. Jason. Although we were watching, to prepare for this, we watched the Killer Cut, which, Jake, how long was that one again?
I think it's like 106.
About 10 minutes
something
longer.
Like that,
yeah. But that was fun. It was I had seen the theatrical cut. Jake doesn't remember ever seeing the theatrical cut. I don't recall like any of the changes. Then again, I looked it up, and it looks like you got a couple extra seconds here and there. But same kind of stuff as with the other extended versions that we had talked about in the past. You get a couple extra seconds of boobs and gore here and there.
You can kind of figure it out too.
Yeah, like fucking what's his name, Chewie, the Asian stoner guy.
Yeah,
you can. This is his only dialogue. It was weird. But you could definitely tell. You're like, oh, okay, this is going on way too long. Like, this is the old from the original video episodes of Geek Out that will never see the light of day. Because that was too long. That was the only problem with it, right?
It was certainly the most glaring.
As was the glare on everyone's cheeks because I didn't white balance correctly.
But enough in jokes.
Jokes just for us. But so this one was written by writing team Damian Shannon and Mark Swift. If you recognize those names, you should, because it's the same guys that wrote Freddy vs. Jason. And then probably the biggest black sheep on this whole thing, produced by Michael Bay. Granted, I think that was a good move. And this will be one of the few times that you hear me say something like that with as it pertains to Michael Bay, when we're not talking about Bad Boys or The Rock. Because I think these 4 movies, Bad Boys 2, The Rock, and Friday the 13th, probably the best movies that he's touched.
I really like The Island.
Was that him too?
Yeah.
Was he a producer on that?
He directed that one.
He directed it? Yeah. The Island was all right. Okay, I'll give him that. That one was excluded from ignorance. But yeah, sure. And then also his producing partners in what the hell is his production company called?
Oh.
So Michael Bay has a production company with Andrew Form and Brad Fuller. All three of them are producers on this because that production company produced the movie. It's on my Wikipedia page that I have open here. I just don't want to look.
It's quite all right. But yeah, no, keep going. I'll pull it up. Keep going. Keep talking.
And then, of course, Sean S. Cunningham has a producing credit as well because they had to pull directly from the properties that he personally owns to make some of the in-jokes. Platinum Dunes. That's the production company.
Which also produced the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake.
Mm-hmm. And which, fun fact, the director of this movie, Marcus Nispel, also the director of that Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake, as well as apparently he is the remake king because he made a made-for-TV Frankenstein movie based on the book Frankenstein by Dean Koontz, which is a remake of the story by Mary Shelley. So double whammy there. He also did an American version of this movie, Pathfinder, which is a Norwegian movie. He is the director of the Conan the Barbarian movie remake and forthcoming Kroll remake.
I'll believe it when I see it on that Kroll.
Yeah. The other ones, you're fine?
I mean, they exist. Yeah.
I've seen it. Yeah. And then this one was filmed in various cities around Texas, namely Austin, Bastrop, Round Rock, and Wimberley. It had a budget of $19 million, which is $11 million fewer than Freddy vs. Jason. But I guess that makes sense because they did not have another property, i.e., Freddy, to also throw into the budget. And then also grossed $92.7 million, making it the second highest gross of the series, the first one being Freddy vs. Jason, with about $30 million more going to Freddy vs. Jason. So what happened in this movie, gentlemen?
New Jason for a new generation.
Oh.
Kind of like what they did with Texas Chainsaw, kind of like what they did with the New Nightmare with what's his name?
Jackie O'Haley.
Yeah, Rorschach, yeah. And yeah, now that you mention it, I forgot that Michael Bay had produced this, but yeah, all the colors like a Michael Bay film really are saturated here.
Yeah. Yeah. Not quite as monochromatic as a Zack Snyder film, but very still that you're like, "Oh, this is a unnatural color."
Yeah. Really leaning, especially, I mean, and it makes sense for a Friday the 13th film, really leaning into the green hues with the saturation.
Mm-hmm. Greens and blues are very prevalent. It was an interesting, almost like a mash of Friday the 13th Part 1, 2, and 3 all kind of jammed together, because you have the first 3 minutes are the Pamela Voorhees death scene from Friday the original, and then you have the next 20 minutes almost is basically Part 2. You have Jason going on a rampage with the potato sack over his head, and then the rest of the movie, you could argue, is sort of a retelling of Part 3, because you have the people coming to the summer home. You have Jason discovering the hockey mask and all of that fun shit.
Yeah. He looks good in the potato sack.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's something about his
potato sack form. My final form.
This isn't even my final form. No, there's something about his Corey. What's his name?
Corey Taylor.
Yeah, there's something about his Corey Taylor neck that sits awkwardly with me and the mask, and that's all prosthetic. His entire upper torso is like a prosthetic thing. I saw the Wikipedia page for this movie has a picture of the upper torso of Jason. They had control over the girth of his neck, and I think they went overboard. He looks a lot better with the potato sack, in my opinion.
Well, the potato sack looks good in this because it's very The Day That Dreaded Sundown.
Yes,
look, which is
the town.
tight. The town that dreaded sundown. Thank you.
I didn't want people to like Google the wrong thing.
Yeah. It's very tight on his face.
Yes.
It's not like in Friday 2
It's
where
not
it's
the
like
Elephant Man.
massive. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And like I think he's got 2 holes in this one.
He has that depth perception.
Yeah. But it's a good look. And like I said, I don't have a problem with the neck. I mean, he's just like a fucking, this Jason is a brute, like a beast. I mean, and he's been in that obviously in other ones too. But like he's like very quick to like just if something's in his way, he'll just throw it out of the way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He has command over this jungle.
He does.
Yeah.
I like him a lot.
Yeah. So this movie has a wonderful little swerve right near the beginning.
Yeah.
Because like I said, your first couple minutes, that feels like that's your cold open.
Exactly. Black and white.
Yeah.
Raining.
And it has like the cast and crew credits going over it, and you're like, oh, okay, cool. And then you get like a 20-minute set piece of this group of teens coming in. They're like, oh, we got to find the pot field.
Yeah.
Well, let's camp here for the night. Ha ha.
Yeah.
And I'm Josh.
Oh, we get the full geek out compliment today.
But so we get and that whole and then he kills off, essentially, spoilers, most of those kids, and you're like, huh, what? And poof,
Yeah, moving quick.
Title card, Friday the 13th. You're like, oh, that was the cold open.
Well, I remember. Honestly, the thing that made me go, I'll check this out, because I think I was working at Blockbuster when this came out. Actually, I pretty definitely was working at Blockbuster.
Yeah.
2009, baby.
And was the trailer which I think they played it over and over in one of the DVDs, where he runs up and is like, huh, and it cuts, and in the movie it's obvious that's Whitney he's doing it to, which means that he like see her and is like, looks like my mother, and like stop, because it's a fake out, because obviously she's still alive. But I remember seeing that, and I feel like a lot of people when they saw that were like, that's not Jason. He doesn't do that. And then they were annoyed that he runs, and I was like, he's moved quickly in other movies. But that's one of the things I liked about it. I was like, oh, that's an interesting take.
I mean, hell, in Jason Takes Manhattan, he teleports.
Yeah,
essentially.
Yeah. So like he that shot of him running, I was like, interesting, and I like his look. They got away from zombie Jason. I never really liked the zombie Jason look. I liked
as much as I love Kane Hodder.
Oh yeah, Kane Hodder's great, but I like the classic look. My favorite of the looks that I really like in the classic era is the Friday 4. That's and 3. That's pretty much the same kind of look.
It's all one weekend.
Yeah, but this one, the look, it works really well. They don't really show his face in this. Like there's like it's shadowed when he gets the potato sack gets ripped off, and in the end when he's floating in the water, you see it kind of.
Yeah, but it's distorted by water.
Yeah, but you get a great kind of like look in the shadow of his face, and it's like way more like rotted. Mm-hmm. It's a good look. Like the prosthetics in this is great. For like you were saying, it's cheaper, much cheaper. Like, did you say it was like 10 million less?
Something like that.
Yeah, so it's definitely less.
Yeah.
Than obviously the big budget of Freddy vs. Jason. I mean, that's 2 huge iconic characters, but the kills, which I know we'll get into later, but like they look good in this.
Yeah.
Like there's really nothing looks cheap in this. Like in terms of the prosthetics and stuff. They really went all out for it, and it's interesting because I feel like. Obviously you doing this and really getting into depth with Jason. I mean, like this movie takes Jason and like the world they created pretty like with like respect and pretty seriously. Like they do some really cool things with it. Like adding on to it. I like the more tactical Jason in this.
Well, yeah, I was saying while we were watching it, because before today. The last time I saw this, I want to say was when I saw it in theaters, almost 10 years ago. One of the things that I really dug about this Jason is that you get to see like his intricate tunnel system, his bells, for alarms to let him know where people are.
And he'd have time for that too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it makes sense. Like, he doesn't go anywhere, doesn't do anything.
Yeah, he's lived there for 30 years. Mm-hmm. And like it was a neat touch for a generation that doesn't just accept, oh, this guy is just everywhere. Because I mean That's one of the things that like differs between, you know, like horror movies of today versus horror movies of like the 80s. Like we just kind of accepted, you know, the slashers aren't that much of a thing anymore because they're just too ridiculous. You know.
Yeah, people could the deconstruction of slasher movies is like what people, you know, have done.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. I mean, we don't have like the new slasher, you know, villains, you know, that you know, we're getting the reboots like this, you know. Yeah. Which isn't a bad thing. Like I said, I think
we got like Wolf Creek, but that guy's more of a serial killer.
Yeah. Wolf Creek, yeah.
It's a really good movie. I haven't seen it, but I keep hearing about how great it is.
I think I saw that on Christmas with our mutual friend Sean, and I remember not liking it at all.
Why? Because it's Australian? You hate all Australians?
No, that's not true.
You didn't like the Babadook either, did you?
I half liked that movie.
Hey, Jake.
Oh no! Fuck off. Yeah. No, that's we retired that bit.
That was a good bit when we were talking about the Babadook.
Yeah, see episode for that one.
But yeah, so like one of the things that was a little problematic for me for this movie was like I don't mind Jason running, but Jason taking a prisoner, like
yeah,
like,
I mean.
I didn't quite get it when I saw it in theaters. Watching it this time, I was like, oh, okay, she looks like his mom, and like they even set that up with, you know, the guy saying, hey, looks like you.
Then put her in like the sweater and stuff.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, right. Have her like for whatever reason happen to be wearing, you know, like the same sweater.
Well, I mean, like have him put her in that sweater because they have it there.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, really play up it. Like have him like cut her hair short.
Yeah,
you know,
not
like,
just chain her to a bed.
Yeah, have him like, you know, go to the, you know, because there's the one time where she uses it to her advantage and never uses it again, where she says Jason and he like snaps too. But yeah, I mean, we talked about it when we were watching it. Like, we get why they did it, and there's elements where it's interesting, but it's like they kind of half-assed it. It was like just the damsel in distress thing.
Yeah.
And it takes away from it, honestly.
Yeah.
Like the movie.
You said while we were watching it, specifically when Clay, Supernatural's Jared Padalecki, or Gilmore Girls is Jared Padalecki, first runs into the what's his name, the guy using the wood chipper, Donnie, I believe. Yeah. His character, the guy that he almost hit the start button on the whoop-ass machine.
Yeah, whoop-ass machine, yeah.
Around that scene, you were like, man, this feels way too much like Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah.
Which made sense, kind of, because Nispel, like I said, had directed the Chainsaw Massacre remake. And then once we find out that like Whitney, his sister, is still alive, I was like, man, this feels way too much like Halloween.
Yeah.
You know, like...
Well, you know, it's... I guess they wanted to break the mold a little bit. But again, like I said, they started it, but they never really finished making that interesting.
Yeah.
It's just, she's just chained down there.
Yeah. Well, don't start nothing, won't be nothing.
And it would have been interesting, like, to show more the kind of the psychological thing with Jason.
Yeah.
You know, he doesn't really... It's just a prisoner because it looks like his mom. That doesn't really make any sense. Yeah. I mean, it makes sense because he's a mama's boy, but they didn't do anything with it.
But yeah, if you're going to do something, go the whole way.
Sure. Yeah, and you know...
Take it all the way.
and I think the problem is, like, when the movie starts to get going, they have these, like... And maybe it's more the killer cut, too, but they have these long scenes where she's down there just screaming and nothing happens. Jason, like, loses his shit, which is kind of funny, but...
I think that probably was something that was I remember it feeling not like it was dragging on while I was watching it in theaters. Watching these scenes and it feeling like it was going on, like, this is a little too long. I think that is, you know, like the killer cut. Because there while I was looking at the changes, like there were some that, you know, just seemed like, oh yeah, we just added some more shots. Like it was like watching the traveling.
Traveling Wilburys, Volume 3.
Yes, the Magnificent Seven Roadshow version, where it was just like. Not Magnificent Seven. Hateful Eight. Roadshow version.
One off.
Yeah. And one emotion.
Yeah, one emotion, yeah.
How do you feel? Magnificent!
Hateful.
But yeah, so I don't know where I was going with it. I lost my train of thought.
You were saying it was like the Roadshow version.
Oh yeah, where it's just like, we added in a couple more shots, a couple more seconds of this beautiful scenery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The stuff that was clearly like cut or trimmed to like better appease the MPAA.
Yeah.
It's like we don't need, but like there's that for the runtime, but you get that with like what's his name? Is it Donnie that gets fucking split before he's put on the back of the tow truck?
No,
that's Wade, right?
No, it's like Trent or something.
Trent.
Yeah.
Trent.
Yeah.
Trent DeMarco.
Yeah, the doucher.
Yeah, I mean, because they really like this dude was a douche,
Mm-hmm.
but I feel like I haven't seen the theatrical cut of this film like ever.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that was something that they elongated a bit.
The scene that they definitely elongated is Stoner Boy.
Yeah. Getting the screwdriver up the chin.
Up the chin and just like splurting blood and it just won't stop.
When we were watching it, we were like, this is going on too long.
Yeah, and he's like the best character in the movie.
Yeah.
Like in terms of like he's not like this forced character. Like, he's a cliche like they have with the Stoner, but he was like funny. Like, I thought he was fun.
I'm pretty sure I've also seen several movies where he has played that exact same character.
Yeah. Well, one of my favorite moments he has is right before his death scene where like he's in the tool shed area and he has like the hockey stick and he turns around and sees Jason. He's like, I think this is yours.
Were you looking for this? It completes your look.
Yeah. Yeah, and then he gets this horrible death.
In the Wikipedia article, it actually mentioned like his performance is one of the ones that's applauded by both people who praised and hated this movie.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of effortless. It's not this and like the doucher guy is really good at being a douchebag in this movie.
Yeah,
and so his death is pretty great.
I'm glad it's one of the last ones.
Yeah, it's the last like real graphic one.
Yes. Well, because there's only one more actual death,
and that one's more of a shock value than anything else. But
shock to the heart because it goes through her heart.
Yeah,
but. Sorry, Sam leaned up like he was going to say something, and then was just like, "Yeah, okay."
You got it.
But yeah, so one of the things that I did want to touch on was an interesting point that I saw. It was the Derek Mears, the guy that plays Jason in this movie, described his portrayal as a combination of John Rambo, Tarzan, and the Abominable Snowman from Looney Tunes. So, do we agree with that? Does that sound right?
I don't know. I mean, the Abominable Snowman was interesting.
Yeah.
But
that's the parts that's for laughs.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's the funny parts where he. I find it so funny when he just destroys the canoe setup.
Yeah.
He's like, fuck it is. And
then
this
is a very like. I'm cool with destroying like sets, Jason.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, so like I'm not exactly sure where he's coming with the Abominable Snowman, but
just maybe in title, like yeah.
Yeah. He's actually just a huge fan of the Abominable Snowman.
He works it in whenever he can.
Yeah.
That's fine.
But the going along with that, there on Chris Jericho's podcast, Talk Is Jericho, he had Derek Mears on a little while ago, and I was like, oh, let me check this out. I really like Friday the 13th, 2009. And one of the things that really stuck out with me in that interview is that he's talking about that every once in a while you see someone makes a movie like this, and you hear the stories about how the director kept the guy playing the killer away from all the people playing the survivors, and you never got to see him or whatever, to help add to the mystique, to give the actor something to play off of or whatever in their scenes. And he's just like, that's fucking bullshit. It's very bad idea, essentially, because he was saying there's a scene where I have to shove one of the actors' heads into a wood chipper. That actor needs to know that he needs to trust me, to do this without hurting him.
Yeah.
Also, they're actors. They should be able to act like they're afraid of me. But once the cameras stop rolling, we can have a cup of coffee.
Well, also, if you think I was thinking about that when I was watching the movie. This time with him saying that was like, it almost makes the scenes more frightening then, because here's his buddy that they have during lunch, and now he's like full on, and also he's covered in prosthetics, he's got the mask on, I think that's something that either you got the method style or just the you live between action and cut, and I mean I don't think it affects them. I think from a stunt and safety standpoint, he makes a really good point with it.
Yes.
Because you need to feel like safe. Obviously, you're gonna feel like the professional, but like you get to know this guy that like, hey, we got this kind of chemistry. Maybe we could talk. Hey, you throw me here, or I swing here, or do this. Yeah, I think only good things can come of that.
Yeah,
that's something that I think
collab, if I may.
Yeah, collab.
Collab. Another interesting thing about this movie. One of the big contributions of Michael Bay's production studio is some of the interesting ways that they used digital effects. Now, this movie doesn't have a whole lot of digital effects, or it doesn't have a whole lot of obvious digital effects. Because
touch-ups here and there.
Yeah. It seems like they until I read that they used digital effects, I was not I wasn't shocked, but I was like, oh, they used digital effects in this movie.
Yeah, like the big ones would be like a machete going through a chest.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Or maybe like an arrow going through a head.
Yeah. The way that they shot some of those things, you're like, oh, I don't see how they could have done that practically. So like that makes sense. But one of the big ones that they did, it's a really good shot. Even watching it today, almost 10 years removed from when they filmed it, which is saying a lot with digital effects. Yeah. The campfire scene with the sleeping bag, dangling over the campfire,
super intense.
That's a composited shot. Back in the day, they would have just had like a sleeping bag and like little something inside it rumbling around, and it just actually catch fire.
And it would have like been way too quick and burned out and this and that. Blah, blah, blah.
And in this they shot an actual fire, and then separately they shot an actual actress or actor, stunt person of some sort, hanging in a sleeping bag, making movements so that it looked like a real human was inside it.
Yeah.
Not some machine going
sure. Farting left and right.
Yeah, exactly.
They cut back,
making those fart bubbles.
Yeah, they cut back to it like, back and forth, back and forth. I'll go into the kill later when we go into the kills and stuff.
Yeah.
But why I think it's so effective. But that scene, you don't even think about that because you mentioned it after that scene happened. I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's
And I also like that they had the shot inside the sleeping bag too.
That's
to really.
That's what I was going to say. I mean, that is what makes that kill so devastating is that they put you inside the sleeping bag. I mean, it's fucked up, and like all you can do is your mind is thinking like, oh my god, what would it like to be in the sleeping bag? Oh my god.
And then later on, when the girl is wakeboarding. And dude gets shot, killed with the arrow while he's driving the boat.
His shirt says "fuck Christmas," by the way.
Yeah, it does. What perfect time for us.
So this is a Christmas movie.
Now, it's more of a Christmas movie than Die Hard, right?
Exactly.
Die Hard's a Christmas movie. It's fine. Whatever. Don't at me. But yeah. So then she gets hit by the boat.
Yes,
and that looks pretty fucking real.
Yeah.
That's digital effect too.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I guess I it's been a while since I watched this movie. I mean, I've watched it much more recently than you have, Chris, and probably you have, Sam. But
oh, absolutely.
I'm just surprised at like how good this movie still looks.
Yeah.
And something we mentioned right before we jumped in. I haven't seen this film, as Jake pointed out, as much as you guys, and I haven't revisited some of the other Friday the 13th, certainly not as much as Chris, who's just finished his marathon run. But I think this is, if you take Freddy versus Jason out of the equation, in terms of just a solo Jason film, this is probably the best Friday the 13th film.
I would say definitely on just like a production value, this is the one that looks like it got it was like the highest budgeted that and it looks good. Like, it looks like a fucking like good movie. It doesn't look like a student film.
Yeah. Or cheap like Grindhouse level.
Exactly. And I would even put it up against Freddy vs. Jason in that regard, because while I love Freddy vs. Jason, it has this like strong camp look to it.
There are moments where that, and certainly even more so Jason X, which similarly has kind of a more modern sheen to it, that in both of those films where it almost feels like a Sci-Fi Channel original movie.
Yeah. No, that's exactly what I mean.
For me, I put this as number one, like including Freddy vs. Jason. I really quite enjoy Freddy vs. Jason, and we talked about this the past couple times I've been on. I've almost become this like joke about like every time we've talked, it's my favorite Jason. But like in terms of classic,
now that you've just rewatched it,
but I mean, like, but those were always in terms of classic Jason. Like I love the look, the performance,
or the attitude of the Jason off screen.
That is so huge. Like, and I think the three actors that I've talked about, Ted White was like his stuff off it. I love too, because it's not about separating himself from the kid. You know, he was like playing like proud papa to the kids.
That's pretty much almost exactly like the kind of thing that Derek was talking about when he was on Talk Is Jericho. Like that kind of go back and listen to the final chapter for like a more in depth of what we're talking about right now. But like Mr. White, the guy that was playing,
legendary career. I think we would go over his. Absolutely insane the stunt work and stuff he's done.
Yeah, and how he played like Jake just said, Big Papa to the cast. You know, without him, like at least one of the girls would have died of hypothermia, or not
seriously
died,
injured,
but like been hurt by hypothermia.
And some big time stunts that he does.
Yeah,
the one falling through the stairs is like one of the great stunts in the Jason things. Also, but like, you know, and then of course Kane Hodder. You know, what I enjoyed so much about his is just how everything in the movie, like everything he comes across, he has no respect for anything that he comes across. Like as you know, as a killer, just throwing people out of the way. Ted White does that as well too. But you know, Derek in this one, like again, he's not like, I mean, he's big. He's a big, obviously hulking brute guy. But like, I don't know. He's just, it feels like more
Christmas.
like yeah. I don't know. It just feels more like lived in, even though it's the only time he did it. And also the guy who played, his name escapes me, but the guy who plays Jason in Freddy vs. Jason is pretty great too.
Ken Kurzigan or something.
That Jason is well, go ahead.
Well, one of the only actors to play Jason and another character in a separate movie, because he was the diner cook in Takes Manhattan.
That's right. Yeah, I remember you saying that. But his Jason, like Freddy vs. Jason is like you were saying with the kind of the more the hokiness of it, or in a way. It's kind of like inadvertently one of the funniest Jasons, without him obviously cracking a line or doing anything, but like him going through the cornfield, you know, one of
the best scenes in that movie too.
Yeah, but so again, I think, you know, overall, if we're adding this obviously with the classic Jasons and everything, like favorite performance of Jason, favorite look at Jason, and just favorite Jason movie overall.
Yeah,
definitely the one I watched the most. I mean, Freddy vs. Jason comes a close second.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we got some. You want to get into the stats or the kills, Mr. Nolan?
I think this would be a good time to start talking about that. I'm just trying to rack my brain real quick if there was any other deets that I wanted to get into before getting into that, but I think we're good. So this one had a special cold open. So as we touched on multiple times already, technically its cold open is 23 minutes and 50 seconds, clocking it at the longest of the franchise, second longest being from the second movie with 19 minutes and some change. Although, if you're going to be a dick about it, I guess we could just say that the cold open was only 3 minutes and 50 seconds, which is the black and white sequence with Pamela Voorhees. But I will fight you if you try to fight me on that, because at 23 minutes and 50 seconds, we finally get the title card. Much like The Departed.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Actually, I think even longer than The Departed.
It's longer. I think The Departed is like...
only like 19 minutes and some
is it, okay.
Yeah, I want to say the second time I watched...
something, you know, something in the...
Yeah.
teens.
It's definitely double digits.
Yeah.
Like I think I remember being like, wow, that's like a whole reel.
Well, I remember it's like they're panning across like the jail or whatever, and like it says the title, and I was like, what? What act is this?
3? Come on.
Yeah.
So the location in universe took place almost entirely in Crystal Lake or Camp Crystal Lake, or the town or surrounding it for a couple scenes. Timeline. There's the first couple minutes are 1980, but overall it is in 2009. And the kill count in this movie, 14 people die, including Mrs. Voorhees. But Jason's kill count is 13, which means Jason's overall kill count for the entire franchise, classic plus remake, is 154. And overall, all dead is 179, including Mrs. Voorhees. I miscalculated on my thing here. Although there is the added 20,000 people that died on the Solaris space station in Jason X, which I also include in Jason's kill count, which means overall in the series he has killed 20,154 people.
Well, that's why I always talk about like the Universal monster stuff, like the Invisible Man kills like 200 plus people in that movie because of the train.
Dracula kills like 2 or 3 in the first movie, and like maybe 1 or 0 and Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein.
Oh boy!
But yeah, so I that was actually on the trivia that I run at my bar. That was one of the questions, or that was like the tiebreaker question was what is Jason's kill count?
Oh, they're gonna say the Invisible Man. I'd be like, oh my god, if someone got that, holy shit!
I should.
That'd be amazing.
But it was like it was like what is Jason's kill count in the entirety of the franchise?
Yeah,
and nobody got close.
Oh really?
Because no one remembers Solaris. Because everyone wants to pretend that Jason X didn't happen, and I'm like, why? It's one of the most fun of the Jason movies.
It is legitimately like of the OG numbered Jason or Friday the 13th films. It's like in the top 3.
Yeah. I even while I was writing that one up, it was right after Ken and I had watched Jason X. I posted a status on Facebook that was like, if your list of Jason, Friday the 13th's ranked from best to worst ends with Jason X, I automatically do not believe the rest of your count, because Jason X is a very fun movie.
Anytime you say Ken, I always want to go, yeah.
I'm sure he'd appreciate that.
Yeah.
This is the series that replaced that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, where was I? Let's talk about our best and worst kills.
My best kill.
Yeah.
My best kill.
My best kill. It was in Gallipoli.
Bloodfather.
Oh god, that movie fucking rules.
Let's make more in jokes.
Yeah.
That the audience won't understand.
No, go watch Bloodfather.
Yeah. But yeah, Jake, you look ready to go. What's your favorite kill?
We kind of tapped on it, and honestly, like I think from the ones we saw, I mean, this has the most to pick from.
Yes.
The ones that the episodes that I've been on, for sure.
As someone that has watched all of them, I will say this is the widest net that you could cast for best kill.
Can we get just worst kill out of the way?
Sure,
right off the back?
sure.
I feel like that's the one that's the least.
Let's go ahead and talk about the worst kill, because I think we all agree that it is Wade, the first victim of Jason in this movie.
Yeah.
Second death. But poor Wade.
I liked his performance too. He was kind of like this earnest, goofy stoner guy. Stoners in this aren't bad, man. I like him.
Yeah, he was a good kid.
Comes
good
from
egg.
the Evil Dead remake school of movie stoners.
Yeah. But so he gets his ear cut off and then stabbed with a machete.
But the
off.
That's what kills it.
Yeah.
No pun intended.
Yeah. It's all off screen.
There was one, I forget which one it was, but there was one movie that there were so many off-screen kills.
It was one of the ones we did, remember? Because I think it was because we went back and we looked at like the X-rated.
Oh, was it Friday the 13th? Or was it Friday?
It was definitely Friday the 13th.
Was it? I think it was New Blood.
Because remember we looked it up and it was like so much more intense, and there was like a cut that no one will ever see, or it was on VHS or something like that, and it was
you had to
way
get like
more,
the European VHS.
Yeah, it was way
tape.
more intense.
Yeah. Yeah, there were so many off-screen deaths that I had to take off-screen out of. I was just like, okay, fine, none of those count for worst kill because that leaves us with 3 kills or something like that. Yeah.
Also, just because it's the end of the series podcast, can we just reminisce real quick about what I still think is the
Reminiscent Evil?
Yeah, Reminiscent Evil, the greatest podcast title of all time. The greatest title podcast of all time. The most unnecessary kill in the whole series is the banana chick.
Yeah.
Remember that? We were like, what?
Yeah.
Unnecessary.
Why?
Yeah, it's also
Why?
gross. The banana,
Yeah.
Anyway, if we're talking about worst kills. But yeah, Wade.
So Wade, poor Wade. R.I.P.
Mm-hmm. But that whole, besides Wade, just break down the kills.
Yeah.
The sleeping bag kill is, anything like we were saying off mic earlier, like the sleeping bag is kind of associated with Jason, ever since him slamming evil. But yeah, her strung up and being cooked alive. And then the kicker is, you talked about the composite shot. You talked about, being taken inside and how horrible that is. When she falls out of the sleeping bag, smoke's coming out of her mouth.
Yeah.
And that's a macabre, crazy, insane little touch there.
And every time they cut to her, she's still kind of smoking a bit, too.
And when Whitney touches her, she's like, ah, shit. Remember? Yeah. She's like, she didn't say that, but, But then her boyfriend,
Richie,
gets the bear claw trap in the fucking leg.
Yeah.
And that's a groovy
just a
one.
Donut grabs him by the leg.
Yeah. This isn't that bad. And then he gets the machete in the head. I remember you were just like, "Ooh,
yeah,
that's my favorite."
Yeah, because I had
machete in the head.
Just
Clunk.
Yep.
Yeah. For me, the one that I'm gonna go with is Lawrence. The lovely character who just gets a fucking axe thrown at his back from 20 yards away. Just perfect. And he goes down, and then
he fights though, man.
Yeah,
before that
he does. Yeah, no, he puts up a decent fight. I remember for a little while, while I was watching it in theaters, I was like, are they gonna actually make it look like he's putting up a decent fight? Because he was doing a better job than what's his name, the boxing kid in Takes Manhattan, who was just getting tired. But yeah, so the thing that sets that, much like how you were mentioning the smoke coming out of Amanda's mouth, for me, it's the fact that Jason lets that just kind of sit there and germinate as bait to get the other kids to come out of the house, until finally Jason goes, all right, fuck it, I guess they're not coming out. So he goes up, picks dude up, and slams Evil down into the ground so that the axe goes through his chest. Fucking brutal.
It's a kill that we kind of I think we passed over it and didn't talk about in our talking about it.
Yeah.
Is the cop with the
yeah.
But you know what I think they do, which is insane, is he sticks the fire poker or whatever it is through it, and then his eyeball comes out the other side of the door. I think really quick you can see really quick.
That's
you can see
totally an homage to part 3.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of that, because remember we said in part 3 when he puts the mask on for the first time, his next kill is the really bad 3D arrows zzz, and then he gets the mask in this one. When he gets the hockey mask, his next kill is the archery kill where he kills fuck Christmas
Nolan
guy through the head.
Yeah, and Chris was saying this earlier in the episode. There are a lot of homage moments to all.
Oh yeah,
but you've got the window break from 3. You've got the hanging from 3. There's a lot of them.
The Michael Bay. This was a factoid that I read about while I was researching this that I just remembered. Michael Bay and co. Spent a year securing the rights from all the different companies that own this bit, because they didn't want to just make a Friday the 13th movie. They didn't just want to make a movie that featured Jason Voorhees. They wanted to be able to pay homage to those different things, so they actually got the rights to use elements, intellectual properties and stuff like that that you had to get I'm sure they probably could have just been it's parody law or whatever, but because they were doing this to a specific degree, they were let's get the rights from Sean S. Cunningham so that we can have like Pamela Voorhees get her head chopped off. Let's get the rights from this guy so that we can have an eyeball popping out. Like shit like that, which I think is very cool. Which like that's how a remake. If you're gonna do that kind of stuff in a remake, then that's how you should do it. Like with that much like respect to the source material. Yeah. Not just hey, let's jerk ourselves off with.
Doesn't he only use a machete? Oh, silly bitch! He uses everything.
Yeah. I ended up paying too much attention to the movie that I kind of missed a couple things, but some of the weapons from this movie include the machete, of course, fire, an arrow of a bow and arrow, and a screwdriver.
Of course, the hatchet, the spike, the fucking poker,
deer antlers.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which I don't think it was a direct reference, but it does remind me of my favorite kill from the movie Silent Night, Deadly Night, where the killer does the exact same thing.
And his mitts.
Yeah. Yeah.
To quote Sin City.
And the thing on the front of the sheriff's car, or not the sheriff's car, some dude's car.
Oh, the tow truck?
Yeah.
I think it's a tow truck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One with Harry Dean Stanton.
Yeah. I'm in this movie too.
Yeah. Didn't
yeah.
have that Avengers money yet. It's not actually Harry Dean Stanton.
I forgot to do the specific math, so I'm going to wing it here for the.
Oh God!
I know, right? So for the killing spree, which is a shame because I actually went back and checked the times on it so that I could have accurate numbers, and then I didn't do the math to get the total. But so the killing spree starts with Donnie, because I'm not including any of the opening bit, and also there's like 20 minutes between when Richie gets his head chopped in half and Donnie's death. But Donnie's death at 42:48, I'm counting as the flop on the ground.
It's also the arrival of the mask, too.
Yeah, so that's the start of the killing spree, and I would argue that you get a consistent chunk of deaths up until Trent. Like it's not like back to back to back to back to back, but like you have a good run of deaths all the way up until Trent's death.
Totally.
Which makes it clock in at just under 45 minutes, if my quick fuzzy math, because Trent's death is at 1 hour, 24 minutes, and 30 seconds. And I know that 45 minutes from around 45 would be around 1:30, so good enough for me.
Yeah.
Good enough for public schools. If anyone wants to actually do the math, tweet me.
In 15 years, they'll get a tweet from a guy who listens to this.
Yeah. Hey.
Yeah.
This will survive the nuclear apocalypse.
Yeah, which is only like 6 months off.
It's already happened. Run for your lives.
Hurricane!
Duck and cover. Our survivors are Clay and Whitney.
Kind of.
Unless they die in the twist ending. Or not the twist ending, but the surprise scare at the end. Who plays Jason in this movie? Well, we've talked about the main man, Derek Mears, a lot. But we also have child Jason for like 2 seconds, and that actor's name is Caleb Gus.
Okay.
He did not have a Wikipedia article, so I don't know if he's done anything else. I didn't check IMDb. And then what's the evolution of Jason? It's a little unfair to ask this question since technically it's the start of a new chapter, but if we can compare him to the original one, how did his character change? Two of the biggest things I would say that make this Jason stand out from the other Jasons is the Rambo style, tactician Jason, where he has that alarm system and that intricate underground tunnel system running throughout the underground of Camp Crystal Lake. And we kind of see him strategizing a little bit more because, like most of the time, previous Jasons is just kill and leave body where kill,
Yes. Indeed.
Did the victims deserve to die? For the most part, I stopped keeping track about halfway through the movie because I was enjoying myself so much. But for the most part, I can I can safely say, or I feel like I can safely say, most of the victims would fall under the category of our drug and alcohol users, because most of them are partying or literally looking for pot.
You know who the one is, though? Killer Frost.
Yeah.
She's the one that, like...
She's the only person in my innocence column.
Because we discussed how it's a shocking death.
Yeah.
Because, it's not... I don't think it's not the bold choice of those three.
Yeah.
Because it's at the end, it's Whitney, Clay, and I don't remember her character's name. Jenna. Excuse me. And you can kind of see it coming once it's all set up. The clock comes to the hole, the kind of long shot on her for a second, or just it feels like it's a second longer.
Mm-hmm. And it's also kind of a reference. I forget exactly which movie it is, but it's a reference to another death. Of the kind of like do you want to go on a real date after this is all done?
Mm-hmm. But like once the sister is saved, she's kind of served her purpose in the story. But we were saying again, it's us playing filmmakers for a second, but what if we spent all this time to get with the sister and the sister gets killed?
Yeah.
Or it's Jared Padalecki, but
yeah.
that is the one where she doesn't, from what we see, her only sin is dating that doucher, because isn't that implied that then he cheats on her with other girl and stuff? So she is I guess like you were saying, would fall under the innocent category.
Yeah. And then there's a couple like Amanda and Richie from the opening. They're fornicators, and I think that's more of that is their role in this movie. They are the people that had sex and then died.
Mm-hmm.
And then
get that out of the way, because it's right in the beginning.
Yeah. I mean, Doucher also has sex, and he's also an asshole.
Mm-hmm.
So you got that. All right. So how was Jason defeated? He was choked out by a wood chipper and then chopped up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
His mask got fucked up. The soft spot on his head got fucked up. And then he gets buried, quote unquote, in the lake. And apparently
it's a burial at sea.
Yeah, a burial at sea. Apparently that water is the sacred waters of resurrection from Matt,
they just need to drop
Hardy's.
They needed to just drop a mother box in there and have a flash touch at the right time, and he's back.
There you go. It's the Kryptonian birthing matrix.
Or it's like whenever they pull the voodoo pin out of Indiana Jones' voodoo figure, because then he gets re-energized too.
Yeah. Fire. But
Indy, I love you. Ah! Yeah, I'm all right, kid. Fuck yeah! Whatever the fuck that was.
Yeah, I don't know what.
Yeah. I'm all right, kid. He really he does scare the, he does sell it with Short Round. Because Short Round's like, I'm gonna die, and he's like, yeah, and he gets him over the edge, and that's when he's like, I'm all right, kid, and he's like, oh fuck, Jesus Christ, Cindy.
Yeah.
But
and then how does Jason come back? Well, apparently they didn't need a mother box. They just needed the holy water of Camp Crystal Lake, or unholy water of Camp Crystal Lake, because he jumps out of the lake and scares the poop out of the kids on the pier.
Yeah. He embraces Whitney, and Clay's like, fuck, and then credits.
Yeah.
Did you know that this is the last movie that Jared Padalecki's made?
Really?
Since then, he's just been...
Well, he's been
Has he been in that many movies, period?
No. He was in House of Wax with Paris Hilton.
Right.
Was he?
Yeah,
he was the brother in that, too.
Yeah.
It's the role he was born to play, the brother.
But ever since then, he's straight up TV, because
Supernatural's been such a cash cow for him. I'm sure he doesn't need.
He's got that syndication.
And the Gilmore Girls reunion.
Yep.
His one
did they bring him back?
Yeah. They needed to, because the way his character gets kind of written off the show, I've never liked.
Yeah.
So I guess that's it for Friday the 13th.
I guess you want to go with favorite franchise things.
Yeah. So overall, from the movies that I have subjected you guys to, and I'm sure you've seen at least most of the other ones or some of the other ones. Sam, let's start with you since you have only been on one other episode of this. Can you recall your favorite kill overall?
It's still probably Richie getting his fucking head split by the fucking machete because, I mean, what's the best thing in New Beginning? The garden shears to the eyes. No, so yeah,
the kid getting axed by the other kid.
Yeah, the first death in the movie, not counting the nightmare sequence. Yeah. Yeah, and that's such an awkward, like it's very clearly low budget, but no, it's
cartoony almost.
Yeah, it's Richie.
Yeah, least favorite kill.
I mean, anything off camera. So Wade certainly makes the list. Maybe the
axe.
the kid in fucking New Beginning that gets axed awkwardly like a fucking like high school musical.
Yeah. All right. What's your favorite Friday the 13th?
Probably this one.
I figured as much. You kind of alluded to it.
Yeah, of the classic.
If not, said it outright.
Yeah, of the classic run, it's probably going to be either 3D if you want to be technical about it, or part 3D or Jason Lives, just because that one goes, the first one that goes just full tilt boogie. They're like, this is fucking ridiculous.
Zombies.
There's lightning involved. Yeah. He's supernatural now. Just go for it.
And least favorite?
Maybe it's been a while since I've seen it, but either New Blood or Final Friday.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Jake, you have a little bit more experience on this show. I don't know if you've seen more of the movies, but same questions. What's favorite kill overall going to be? Amanda in the sleeping bag here, or
you know what? I might shock some people.
Oh, shock me!
I think one of the best death scenes, in terms of prosthetics and just looking badass, is when the worm transfers over and the guy melts.
Oh yeah,
that scene is that movie's terrible.
Yeah,
that movie is fucking garbage. Yeah. But that.
I believe that movie is Amy Schumer's Trainwreck.
From Amy Schumer's Trainwreck. Yeah. Of Trainwreck fame. Trainwreck's Amy Schumer.
Starring John Cena.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's Pina.
No,
that is one of the best effects shot. Yeah. I'm gonna be like, holy shit! Like props.
Yeah.
To this.
Literal props.
Literal props. Yeah. But no, in terms of like death. I remember like just the absurdity of is it in 4? I'm just gonna start rambling, but like in 4 where he just throws that one woman out the window. There's like no creativity. He's just like get the fuck out of here. But and the sleeping bag in this one, I think just like living with it, the little effects with it, and then I was part of the original sleeping bag kill, right? Was I on for that episode?
Yeah, that was New Blood.
That's a classic. Yeah, So yeah, I mean any of those. You know, they're solid.
Least favorite kill?
By
the way, audience at home, I've kind of got like a James Lipton lean going on.
That's
very
good, very good. I feel.
What's your favorite swear word?
Yeah.
If you met God, what would you, or if he exists, what would you wish him to say to you?
I'm just as surprised as you. But I don't know. I feel like Harrison Ford said that or something, or somebody probably did. But least favorite. I mean, like Sam was saying, anything off screen is kind of pointless.
The noisemaker death. Was that one of the ones that you were here for?
Oh, it's funny.
Yeah, because it was from New Blood. He like slams the party noisemaker in the girl's like eye or whatever, and I remember you had a problem with that.
Yeah. I mean, that whole movie, aside from the like super metal melting scene, I think you know what, I might go with the off-screen death of Wade in this one because all the other deaths are so solid.
It is such a jarring death for like,
but at least it's the first one, kind of, so it gets you like, you're like, oh man, is it going to be like one of these movies?
Mm-hmm. And then boom, bear trap.
Also, actually, no, my least favorite is Banana Kill.
Yeah. Okay.
Unnecessary and gross, like the banana's like dripping out of her mouth. So yeah, okay.
Okay. Favorite Friday the 13th?
Well, this one, but in terms of OG, 4.
4?
Yeah, I mean that poster's the best poster too.
Mm-hmm. Starring Corey Feldman and Crispin Glover
and Ted White.
Yeah, of course, naturally.
Yeah.
Least favorite Friday the 13th?
Is that the worm one? Is that goes to hell?
Yeah, Goes to Hell. The final Friday.
That movie's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a shit movie.
All right. Then on to me, Chris. Favorite kill overall. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna agree with you on Sleeping Bag from New Blood.
Mm-hmm. I do like the flying V kill. I wasn't on for that episode.
Yeah. from Takes Manhattan.
Yeah, and can I just say real quick?
Yeah.
My favorite Jason moment of all time. I wasn't on for it.
Your Jason Momoa of all
time?
Jason
Momoa of all time.
Yeah.
Is when he kicks the boombox over in 8. That's one of my just favorite moments of all time.
Yeah.
And
then just flips
he's
up
so
his mask.
Fucking annoyed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that moment.
I love how like people will just use that like an annoying, like they'll post a video on like a clip on YouTube of like really annoying song being overdubbed over that. Yeah. And then he kicks the thing just to be like, I hate this song. Where was I? Least favorite kill. I was trying to think of this while you guys were talking, but I couldn't come up with anything definitive. There's so many kills now. Because I don't want to just chalk it up to something off screen. Let me look at just one of the other one. I'm not going to waste everyone's time and go through. You know what? Yes, here we go. From Freddy vs. Jason. I'm going to bring that back from a month ago. Kia's death, because she's just thrown into a tree.
Oh, no, yeah, that's a great one, too. She's like, Jason's better, right? Like, Jason's a man, blah, blah, blah. And Freddy's like, and turns around and he's just like,
well, so here's the reasoning behind it being the lamest kill from that movie was that we had already seen several people get thrown into a wall and walk away just fine, including her herself. Yeah. She had already...
The setup is what I like. Yeah. Because I think that movie starts to lean towards Jason's like the anti-hero, because they start to be like, well, we need Jason. Yeah. And that kind of course corrects it a little bit.
Okay.
But
I can respect that.
I respect... I'll throw the respect back to you. I understand what you're talking about, like slamming into the wall. Like
you hot potato.
The actual death itself isn't great, but I like the setup of it and the correction of it.
Okay.
And I also like when they bring Freddy in the real world and they start playing new metal and he's just like,
Yeah, that's the Rey Mysterio.
Yeah.
He
619.
Rey Mysterio was the stunt double for some of those.
Was he really?
Yeah.
The fuck?
Mm-hmm.
Wait. For stunt double for Freddy?
Yeah. He was Freddy's stunt double.
Rey Mysterio Jr.
Mm-hmm. For he wasn't the main stunt double.
Hurricanrana's 619.
The WWF's Rey Mysterio.
Cruiserweight of all cruiserweights.
Yeah.
Rey Mysterio Jr.
Mm-hmm. He was the stunt double. He was one of like 2 or 3 stunt doubles for Freddy in that movie.
That's fucked up.
Yeah. That was one of the reasons why, or that was a nice bit of kismet for having Chad on with that, because Chad's such a huge wrestling fan too.
Chad knows everything about wrestling and everything about Jason and Freddy.
Yeah, so it was like perfect. When I read that, I was like, yes. Wonderful to have.
That's cool. I did not know that about Rey Mysterio. Yeah. God, he was one of my all-time favorites, man.
Yeah. Let's see. So, favorite Friday the 13th. I'm gonna have to go with Freddy vs. Jason.
Mm-hmm.
This being a strong contender, as well as Friday the 13th Part 3D.
I forgot. Do you include Freddy vs. Jason as part of the classic?
Yes.
Okay.
It's officially
it is okay.
part. It's what concludes both Friday the 13th and A Nightmare on Elm Street's classic timelines. Classic. Sorry.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah.
Just like House of Dracula is the
is the last movie in the Friday the 13th franchise.
yeah. It's actually It's either House of Dracula or Abbott and Costello close out the classic Universal monster run.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've read that somewhere as well. Yes. And then least favorite, I don't think will surprise anyone because you've been on this journey with me. But it is New Blood. That movie is crap, except for it being the first appearance of Kane Hodder. And also, oddly enough, my favorite kill is from that movie, but the majority of the rest of that movie is crap. And also, I hate it when they just randomly have a psychic. Like that's... Some people think that once they send a slasher into space is when the movie series jumps the shark, but I say when they start adding in psychic protagonists, which is to say not very often. I guess technically,
yeah, they haven't done it since. I don't think.
I want to say they kind of start doing it in Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4, because like the Dream Warriors get bumped up.
Oh yeah.
To like being able to psychically communicate with each other.
Sure.
And
yeah.
I'm like,
the three survivors, they've got that bond.
Yeah. And I'm like,
and then all immediately killed.
Yeah, right. Because Patricia Arquette wouldn't come back for another movie. Anyways, that is it for the long night at Camp Blood.
We'll have to wait for when they make Lethal Weapon 5 crossover with Friday the 13th.
Yeah. I mean, according to Paramount Studios, they have the if I remember correctly, what I read last, Paramount Studios now has the rights back to make another movie now that the 2018 remake has kind of not been put into production.
Yeah.
And Paramount Studios has said that they want to make one by 2020. Mm-hmm. So if that does happen, I will see you in 3 years.
God. That means we've been doing this for almost 6 years then.
Yeah.
Right?
We started in 2014. So.
Yeah, the math checks out.
It's kind of wild if you think about it.
Yeah.
Like where we are.
Yeah. How many of these little sub-series have we gone through already?
Already? Or by 2020, who fucking knows?
Yeah,
but,
right. Yeah, by then, how many will we have gone through, Sam? Do the math right now.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm in the middle of my third.
Mm-hmm.
This is your second, because it's Laserdiscs in this. And then if you want to count...
And I just recently started wrestling.
Yeah. And then Jake, of course, has, he went through Lethal Weapon.
Mm-hmm.
He went through Kiss. Mm-hmm. And now he's in the middle of Superman.
Yeah. And you guys did Jones, and you're in the middle of Bond.
I'm in the middle of my third.
Beatles, yeah.
Oh, yeah, because for me, it was Beatles, Indiana Jones, and now Bond. And then after that, I kind of want to go...
You're doing the gaming one,
I'm doing the gaming, so I guess I'm in my fourth. Yeah, that's right. I'm double dipping. There was a period where you were double dipping.
Yeah, because Laserdiscs hadn't quite finished off.
Yeah, and I hadn't, because I think it was Nintendo that replaced Laserdiscs.
Mm-hmm.
And then
more specifically, yeah.
But so
good on us.
You'll see what we're cooking up or more specifically what Chris is cooking up on that monthly basis next month.
Yeah, I've already got some ideas. We'll see what rises to the surface. But until then, we'll see you next month.
Next year.
Next summer.
Yeah. Next year, calendar-wise.
Yeah. So let's all just gather around the campfire and sing Kumbaya.
This has been another Geek Out production. If you enjoyed what you heard, hey, we've got a special episode every Friday. Of course, there's the usual catching up show every Wednesday. And you get book club episodes just about every Tuesday these days. Thanks for listening. 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 Listening.